Now that's an ocean wonder. I'm Tom, the Blowfish herd.
Oh, doggy!
The world's only heavy metal marine biologist.
That's so cool!
Hello, Joe!
2/3 of this Earth's surface is covered by ocean
We know more about the surface of the moon
than we do our own sea floor. And I've made it my life's work to uncover the secrets and mysteries of the ocean.
and now I'm going to share them with you. In today's Ocean Wonders, we're making a splash about a bubble-blowing seafaring snail which will take your breath away. And how one massive shark species outgrows all the others without ever needing to hunt. And I play butcher to demonstrate the bizarre feeding behaviour of one deep-sea dweller. But first up, we have something to really sink your teeth into.
Now, what I've got for you here is a top ocean predator. This is a moray eel. And to be fair, this particular species, well, he's a bit of a cutie, and they don't get particularly large. But a green moray eel can get up to 8 feet in length, and that's a serious monster. And on the reefs where they live, they are not to be messed with. Now, when most people see them, they see them doing this. It's called gaping. And although it looks threatening, it really isn't. It's just them pumping water over their gills.
That's right, moray eels are the original mouth breathers. Most fish species have those recognisable gill covers on the sides of their bodies, which assist to draw water over the gills. The moray eel doesn't have these, so instead uses the gaping technique to push water through its gills. So they're not having a go, they're just having a breathe. And this guy is particularly active and very, very slimy, and that works out a treat because they like to live in crevices and holes in rocks. So if you've got a long, muscular body covered in mucus, you can slip into all those tight nooks and crannies. And although they have these incredibly sharp, dagger-like teeth, it isn't actually the teeth that you can see that you need to worry about. It's the eel's hidden weapon that really takes the cake. Hidden in the moray eel's throat is a second set of teeth called the pharyngeal jaws. This is how they work. Once the moray has grabbed its struggling victim with that front set of teeth, the set you can see, the pharyngeal jaws fire forwards and grab hold of the prey, and they lock on thanks to their backwards-facing or recurved teeth. The jaws are then retracted, ripping a huge plug of flesh out of the victim. This might sound like something from the Alien films, but this adaptation is crucial for the moray eel because, believe it or not, it can't swallow. This top reef predator likes to bite off more than it can chew. And without the ability to swallow, it uses the pharyngeal jaw to drag the chunk down its gullet. And as for the wounded victim, don't worry, it won't be around for much longer. The saliva of the moray eel contains an anticoagulant. This means that no matter how big or small the wound, it will not stop bleeding. That ensures that this guy stays the winner and not the dinner. Many fish have pharyngeal jaws, but moray eels are the only group that can feed by launching the jaws forward. So if you're struggling to identify an eel, just remember the old song. If it eats so much more with extendable jaws, that's a moray. But moray eels aren't the only slimy so-and-sos worth knowing. There are 800 species of eel, and I'm back in the blue searching for one big brawler. Eels can be found in different habitats all over the world and come in all shapes and sizes, from the colourful and flamboyant, like this ribbon eel, to the plain and petite garden eel. But the title for the heavyweight champion is awarded to a species from my neck of the woods, the European conger eel. Let's see if I can get face to face with one of these chunky chompers. Conger eels can be found in rocks, reefs or wrecks, anywhere where they can find a nice crevice to set up shop. The presence of the scavenging common prawn is a clue that we're looking in the right place. And sure enough, this crevice is home to a corker of a conger. These eels can be recognised by their grey-blue colour, flat head and big round eyes. And hidden within the rock is a lot of body. They can grow to more than 2 meters long, the females being the largest. When conger eels reach maturity, they travel out to the mid-Atlantic to spawn, and then they immediately die. Now that's what I call going out with a bang. Oh, that's what I like to see. When you've got big predators like that in an area like this, it means that this is a healthy ecosystem. Oof. My next ocean wonder is a mollusk on a mission. This is a violet sea snail, and most snails that you find in the ocean are, of course, crawling along the rocks, they're on the sandbed or even in the sand itself. Not this guy, because this is a sailing snail, if you will. It's found on the surface of the water. This is where it finds its prey. He's not worried about eating algae or seaweed. This one wants meat. But how does he float at the surface? He certainly doesn't swim. Well, believe it or not, these guys spend their lives blowing bubbles. There we are. So that's how it works. The bubble will keep the snail shell afloat. This isn't going to work, but I'll give it a go. Whee! The bubble will keep the snail shell afloat and allow it to traverse the oceans, but the shell isn't actually there. It's stuck underneath the bubble as it travels around. But the violet sea snail doesn't just make one bubble, it makes a whole raft of bubbles. Now, snails don't have lungs like you and me, so it can't blow the bubbles. Instead, it creates them by secreting a mucus from its muscular foot. It then manipulates this mucus at the water's surface to trap pockets of air inside. But the secret ingredient for the perfect bubble mixture is a chemical which is normally used for strengthening the snail's eggs. So it's part snot, part eggshell, 100% weird. Oh my God. Oh, I can see around corners. Woo! Okay. So by building this bubble raft, not only does it keep the violet sea snail at the surface, but it also acts as a sail. It can catch the wind, and that means that the violet sea snail doesn't have to expend any energy swimming. It can travel the oceans via renewable wind power. Now, this is a bit of a risk. You get a big storm, lots of wind comes through, and thousands of these animals can get washed up onto beaches if the winds take them in the wrong way. And if that happens, they're dead. But it's very, very handy for them tracking down their prey. They like to feed on things like by-the-wind sailors and man-o'-war. These are animals that also have gas-filled bladders. So if the violet sea snail's catching the wind, so is their prey. And that means that they all converge in the same place, allowing this guy to get himself a tasty little feed. But if the bubbles all burst, the snail will sink, and underwater it has no access to air for new flotation devices. So it's down to the sea floor, where it'll surely get eaten. To escape this fate, the violet sea snail has to keep blowing new bubbles to ensure it always has plenty in its raft. Bish bash bosh. It's not how I'd live my life, but you know what? Whatever floats your boat. Sorry, I can't continue this. I've got to pop off. Oh, no. If I do any more jokes like this, I'm going to burst. Ooh. Thrilling. So who'd have thought? All you need to sail the 7 seas is a snotty foot and a load of hot air, just like the bubbly violet sea snail. Time to shed some light on our next marine marvel.
Well, he's out there.
Now, we all know the oceans are full of some pretty majestic, massive creatures, but sometimes you've got to look a little closer to find an ocean wonder. Now, under my microscope here, you can see these microscopic dinoflagellates. These are tiny algae, and when they're not busy photosynthesizing, they can do some pretty amazing things. These guys can set themselves on fire. Let me show you. But first, time to set the mood. That is the burglar alarm of dinoflagellates, these tiny single-celled creatures that live in the sea. They emit this light in response to movement. It could be something harmless like me shaking this bottle or the crashing of a wave. But any disturbance in the water could also be due to the presence of some hungry critters who like to feed on dinoflagellates. So that's where the bioluminescence reveals its true purpose. That light is just enough for them to illuminate any potential predators that are grazing on them. And in doing so, it highlights that predator to the predator's predator, if you know what I mean. Put simply, this daring defense mechanism shines a spotlight on their main predator, copepods. These teeny tiny crustaceans, now illuminated, become an easy target for their own predators, meaning the dinoflagellates live to tell the tale. They can even detect copepods in the surrounding water and turn up their glow in response, which is mighty clever for a single-celled organism. But how do these bright sparks generate this light? They have inside that single cell a chemical which, when broken in two, lets out a quick burst of light. But they have to recharge it. The chemical has to be reformed again. And so they don't want to spend all day, for example, when it's nice and bright, wasting all that energy and burning through their reserves. So during the day, they're recharging, they're making more of that burglar alarm chemical so that when night comes, they're ready to flash and flash hard. So there you have it. These tiny organisms keep themselves off the menu using some crafty chemistry. It's illuminating stuff. My next ocean wonder is both fast and furious. The oceans are a really tough, really hostile place. So for this next creature to succeed, it has to be the perfect predator. Meet the Barracuda. These formidable fish stalk their prey in warm, shallow water habitats like coral reefs. Barracudas can be recognized by their streamlined, torpedo-shaped bodies, their noticeable underbite, and their large, pointy teeth. You will often see them swimming together in shoals known as batteries. Like these chevron barracuda, these stripy so-and-sos can form batteries of thousands of fish, whirling around in a tornado formation. But the largest, most common, and most iconic species has to be the great barracuda. These big beauties can grow to almost 2 meters in length and prefer a solitary lifestyle. This fast and fierce predator has a powerful pointed jaw and a large gape, a term which simply means they've got a big gob. Inside their mouths are more than 100 dagger-like gnashers, plus a hidden row of serrated teeth. This dental arsenal means the great barracuda can successfully hunt fish that are almost as big as they are. In order to ingest such large prey, barracudas deploy a technique known as ram biting. It will chomp down on its victim repeatedly with its razor-sharp teeth while shaking its head, which will slice the fish in two. Ouch! So there you have it. The barracuda is a wicked fish that you don't want to mess with. Now, this next beastie is a seriously mysterious shark. It lives deep in the depths, is rarely seen, and is particularly camera shy. And yet, we often know where it's been, thanks to its distinctive calling card. You've probably heard of things like the great white, tiger shark, that kind of thing. But you probably haven't heard about the cookie cutter shark, a small, deep water shark. And with a name like cookie cutter, you might think that it's really rather sweet. Well, you'd be wrong, because this is how it feeds. It takes a plug of flesh clean out of its victim, thanks to its massive razor-sharp teeth. And it will prey on any large animal it can find down in the deep ocean. It will attack tuna, dolphins, and even other sharks. And they leave these very characteristic circles on whoever has been fed upon. Even though they only grow to 60 centimeters, this doesn't stop the cookie cutter from punching above its weight. Cookie cutter sharks have even been known to attack and bite nuclear submarines, so they certainly like to pick a bibber. They've even been known to bite into the hulls of nuclear submarines, so they obviously really want to ban the bomb. But this method of feeding is very, very effective. By diving in and taking one massive, chunky mouthful, they can escape before they themselves become the prey. Plus, they don't kill their victims. They kind of treat them like a drive-through. Dive in, grab a quick bite, and do one and back off into the black. Of all shark species, cookie cutters are believed to have the largest teeth relative to their body size. And they achieve this perfectly circular bite thanks to their unique set of pearly whites, which are fused together at the base. Freaky! So while it might not be the most glamorous shark, it is still a shark, and it still packs one hell of a punch. Coastlines the world over are home to vital habitats. And to witness the best of the watery world, you're gonna have to get wet. All you need is a mask and a snorkel. And one of the most impressive and important living things in the ocean is not an animal at all. And despite its appearance, it's not a plant either. I'm talking about the humble seaweed, and in particular, kelp. Swimming amongst these colourful and varied organisms, it's bizarre to comprehend that they're actually a type of algae. That's right, the green sludge growing on your pond is closely related to these impressive entities. Like plants, algae photosynthesize, and they can do so like an absolute pro. Take, for example, giant kelp, one of planet Earth's fastest growing organisms, at a rate of 0.5 meter a day. Pockets of gas keep the blades afloat and closer to the sunlight. Plus, it likes to grow in stormy seas, which churn up plenty of nutrients. All this allows the kelp to grow like no one's business, up to a staggering height of 50 meters. These habitats are some of the most biodiverse on Earth. Snorkeling amongst them, you'll find countless fantastic species that scour the area looking for food. With a keen eye, you might spot some hidden gems, such as these minuscule blue-rayed limpets living on the kelp. Pipefish, a relative of the seahorse, or even entire squid nurseries, with each tube containing 100 eggs. This kick-ass kelp is vital to all life on Earth. Every year, these habitats absorb 600 million tons of CO2. In fact, coastal ecosystems capture up to 20 times more carbon than the equivalent area of terrestrial forests. With climate change already causing chaos for both humans and the natural world, it's so important that we protect these environments so they can continue to protect our planet. Now, you may be a bit spooked to learn that the largest fish in the sea is actually a shark. But don't you worry, this bad boy is a gentle giant. Meet the whale shark. And yes, despite the confusing name and lack of fearsome features, it is a shark and not a whale. So just how big is the biggest fish on the planet?
An adult would be about 10, 12 metres long, but they will get a little bit bigger than that. And the largest whale shark science has ever found was 18.8 metres long, which is about the same as, 3 parked up vans. It's pretty big.
Even the great white shark is puny in comparison at only 6 metres long. Our whale shark can be 3 times as big. Its mouth alone can be over 1 metre wide, but it isn't home to a set of massive molars, because whale sharks have a very different feeding technique compared to their more predatory cousins. This mammoth beastie feeds on some of the smallest things in the sea. They like to feed on plankton, which is the equivalent of me feeding on these. Now, it takes an awful lot of effort to sieve plankton out of the water, so thankfully the whale shark has a cunning trick up its throat. It has tea strainers in its mouth. Attached to its gills, where the whale shark filters oxygen from the water, are thousands of bristles known as gill rakers. These catch all the tasty plankton from within the water for the shark to then swallow. This behaviour is known as filter feeding. So although there is no hunting involved, it does take quite some effort to feed this way, as swimming along with its mouth open creates resistance, like I'm experiencing now with my parachute. And picking the right speed is a delicate balancing act. Too fast and you expend too much energy. Too slow and you can't sieve enough plankton. Just right is about 3 miles per hour. So whale sharks sieve a huge amount of water. We're talking 600,000 litres an hour. That's the same as 75,000 bathtubs or 20 bathtubs a second. And for all that effort, for all that work, all they get in a day's feeding is the same amount of calories as you'd find in 19 cans of baked beans. And for me, That's just breakfast.
The whale shark feeds in this way for 7 hours a day and can live for up to 150 years, which means it spends 43 years eating, almost a third of its life. The hungry and humongous whale shark is surely one of the all-time great ocean wonders.